So is this the sort of story that you like? In that darkness, the White Walkers came for the first time. They swept through cities and kingdoms, riding their dead horses, hunting with their packs of pale spiders, big as hounds.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup, and today we have a very special video where we're going to be talking about two major stories happening in the world of Westeros. And I'm here with Aaron and Teddy. Aaron, Teddy, how you guys doing?
Doing good.
Oh.
Oh boy.
I want to know what's more special to you guys, the fact that I'm here or the Game of Thrones stuff?
Game of Thrones.
Yeah?
I mean, it's your first Game of Thrones video.
It is.
Congratulations.
I'm glad to be here holding your hand while you
Nervous.
pop your Westerosi cherry.
But if I had like choice A, choice B, get rid of Teddy, get rid of Game of Thrones, I'm taking the Thrones. Nothing against you.
You're getting rid of Thrones.
No, I'm getting rid of you.
Okay.
But I'll get rid of most things, you know.
All right.
Probably everything, so.
Apple pies.
You know, well, let's not start that again.
Yeah.
I did once tell the turtle, Manny, that I would die for Game of Thrones, and he looked at me and said, "What the fuck does that even mean?" But in your scenario, that's what I would die so other people could enjoy the show.
You're not that righteous.
No, I'm not. Sorry, everybody. So yeah, we have the two major stories here to discuss today. The first one being Naomi Watts being cast in the Game of Thrones prequel show, The Long Night. So what do you guys think about this casting? Naomi Watts, as high caliber as an actress that you can get, and also the idea of this prequel show, The Long Night. What are your overall thoughts on this news?
I love it. I wasn't really too hot on the idea of a Long Night prequel. We've talked about this numerous times. Would have preferred to go elsewhere, but Naomi Watts, she's a tremendous actor, probably one of the better actors coming into this world of Game of Thrones and the prequel series, so I'm excited to see what they do with it. And we have this trend now of these big name and very skilled actors coming to television from film. They don't do that for just any project. And there was lengthy discussions, they were talking about it for a while, all these reports coming out. So you got to assume that it's a pretty good script if she's going to come to television and do this project, even though it is Game of Thrones and they probably gave her.
I would have came to Game of Thrones for the worst script.
We can confirm that Naomi Watts acquired the bag.
This is
negotiation.
It's a long commitment. I mean, these aren't going to be...
She's getting that Westerosi bread.
Yeah. These aren't going to be 2-season prequels, I assume. They're going to want these for the long haul.
Right, and I saw people online, well, I tweeted myself that, oh, she's cast in a lead role. She's gone in like 6 episodes.
Is it possible, though, with all these... We'll get back to her casting, but with all these different prequels they have lined up or in development, that they might just do one-off limited series?
These prequels could be season 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.
Well, it could be like an anthology where they target different areas of Westeros, or not just Westeros, Essos, and the whole world, where they target different time periods, different moments, where you get a little bit of everything.
I think Game of Thrones is just naturally kind of an anthology, because so many times when we go back and review the episodes, it feels like different shows are occurring. And then when you get that crossover effect, it's so much more impactful. So I think naturally it is an anthology, but I think they want to continue having shows that are 3, 4, 5 seasons because it builds that anticipation from season to season. But just to go into a little bit of the description of her character, the exact details of Watts' character, according to Variety, are being kept under wraps, but it is known that she is playing a charismatic socialite, hiding a dark secret. That's very Game of Thrones-esque.
AKA every character in Game of Thrones.
Charismatic, hiding a secret. Yep,
like
that's Game of Thrones.
Kate Blanchett and Blue Jasmine.
Right, exactly. Oh, they could have got Blanchett.
That
wouldn't mind
that would
that.
have been a fucking grab.
That's a heavy hitter. That's a much bigger bag.
And also, that description doesn't really narrow who we think she could be, or she could be anybody.
Right, it's very vague.
I think she could be a Stark. Or she will be a
I
Stark.
don't think you align charismatic and socialite with the Starks that we know, at least. But
We never know in the prequels.
kind of pretty dull. And it really is so vague, because when you hear about The Long Night, there's so many different interpretations depending on where you are regionally, where the timelines are all messed up, and it's a different hero, it's a different character, different people involved, where it can spread out, not just Westeros, but it could be focused on Essos and all these different areas. So we definitely need more information to lock down who she's going to be. A lot of people are saying with the blonde hair, she could be, everyone was saying Targaryen, but that wouldn't really make sense, or Lannister, so.
Targaryens probably aren't even around.
And there's wigs, so it could be anybody.
Right, there's ways you can dye your hair, but it is possible that she could be playing a more exotic foreign character from the East. Because like you said, the accounts of the Long Night, there's a quote by Samwell Tarly in the books where he says that the oldest recorded histories in Westeros come from the Andal invasion. And that's like 4,000 years after the Long Night occurred. So Game of Thrones history, I think this is why I had some pushback on the idea of a Long Night series. The history is like a giant game of telephone. It's very ambiguous. There aren't written records. All these timelines could be mixed and matched. 2 different characters could be the same character. Bran the Builder, the last hero, Azor Ahai, the Night's King. These could all be the same person. And the idea, too, with the theories about the Long Night happening in both Westeros and Essos, that crazy theory that the two continents connect.
Yeah, and in the books they allude to the Arm of Dorne, I think it was called, and during the Andal invasion, the Green Seers of the Children rose the sea level and flooded it out.
Right, there's so much mythology in here. Even the people of Rhoynar, the people that came over to Westeros and joined their house, Nymeria Rhoynar, the woman who came over with 10,000 ships, she joined her house with House Martell. It's a name that's been excluded from the show. We don't really hear about the Rhoynar. The official title of the King of Westeros is the King of the First Men, the King of the Andals, and the King of the Rhoynar in the books. They just don't even include it in the show. So we could be getting into more of their exotic mythology. And like we said, the interpretations of this event, that I could see why that's intriguing. To me, and you brought it up earlier, these are questions that I don't necessarily want to be answered. But I'm still going to fucking watch it.
Yeah, there's just so much. I mean, just reading up on this, Westeros.org, every time you click a link, you're just set into a vast history that it's amazing the detail George put into the history of Westeros. It's truly incredible. But that kind of adds to the mystery.
Exactly, yeah. Well, he reacted to the casting news as well. He put it on his blog, and he talked about how he was excited that Naomi Watts was coming on. And he also talked about the showrunner, Jane Goldman. And this is a showrunner to me. When you look at the track record for D&D compared to her, she's got a lot more credits that are respectable under her name. I mean, you look at the films that she's written, that she's been involved with, the X-Men movies, First Class, Days of Future Past, The Woman in Black, a very underrated horror film starring Daniel Radcliffe. Another underrated movie, Stardust. So this is a woman, too. She's even starred in her own paranormal show where she was like hunting paranormal demons. So she's a little wacky.
You think they can add some kind of ominous element to this? It's all there. When you talk about Game of Thrones, especially The Long Night, not paranormal, but just unknown terrors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she's written books on the X-Files. She did Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children. She's done some weird stuff. So
that's kind of, we say how, we like how vague it is, but that can also open the door to so many different ideas. She can kind of make it her own. And George can shed some more light where he has ideas of what happened, but he kept it vague for a reason, whether that to be to create mystery or it's a lot of fucking history to plan out. But there's really so much freedom with this, where as long as you keep it to, because the show didn't really set up too many obstacles to retcon. I guess the main one being how the White Walkers were created by the Children of the Forest. I think that's the only thing you would have to stick to.
Right. I mean, if it's going to be in continuity with the show, they could maybe say this is continuity with the novels instead, but you're not going to appeal to that audience that you've built up with the show. The problem, too, with The Long Night is that it's just such a similar story to the main one that we've already had, that the others appear, that the Children of the Forest and the First Men, that they've been battling for thousands of years, they make a pact and they agree to fight off the others. And that's where you get all this great mythology about the prince that was promised, Azor Ahai, the last hero, that the stories are so similar that if you're going into this territory, then you have to give me something unique. You have to give me something that's worth adding to the overall story, because if it's just a carbon copy, which I don't think it will be, then it almost diminishes A Song of Ice and Fire.
With the Game of Thrones series now, it's very grounded. It's a fantasy, but very grounded fantasy. With this, there's more room to go more high fantasy. Play with all different types of stuff, especially with the Children of the Forest and the others. It's an interesting from a storytelling perspective. How are you going to map this out? How fantastical are you going to get? And what kind of freedoms do you have as a writer?
What's so crazy with Game of Thrones, and it's just kind of ballsy, too, because you can alter any timeline you want. So you better, like you just said, you better pick your battles wisely of what you're going to alter and what you're not going to alter. You can upset a lot of people.
I mean, there are ways to retcon and get around the Children of the Forest making the Night King. You can create a different character, have a different actor play it. I don't think it's as set in stone as people perceive it to be. I think there's a way to get around it, but... Well, especially what happens in Season 8, we don't know yet. So,
but my biggest problem with the show is that if the show is going to market itself on these are the secrets of the White Walkers that you've always wanted to know, does that mean that we're not going to get the most important secrets in Season 8? Because that is the main story. If you're holding that off for another show, to me, that kind of feels like I'm being cheated a little bit, and that you're just milking this because you know I'll watch it for those answers. But then what happens then? Is there another prequel for The Long Night where you get even more secrets about that Long Night, and then that's going to be
even
the secrets
further past The Long Night?
Right.
What came before it?
Yeah, that's why when you talk about them retconning the origins of the White Walkers, which I don't necessarily like, and I wonder if they took that from George or if that was just a D&D thing. I excluded it from the What Do the White Walkers Want video, and I get comments every day of people telling me that the Children of the Forest created the White Walkers. I shouldn't have excluded it, but it's because I didn't like it. So that's my biggest problem, is that don't save these questions for the prequel series. Don't save these answers for another series entirely.
Nothing's set in stone. We don't know what's going to get picked up. We don't know how many seasons it's going to go for. There's no guarantees. So for you to leave that up, especially D&D, is it known their involvement with any of these, or
No.
They're done, right?
Yeah, they're done.
So why were they going to let someone else tell their story? They already showed they don't care about, well, I'm not going to say that they don't care about the original content, but they kind of take their own liberties and tell the story they want to. So I don't think they're ones to let someone else tell a story that they haven't finished telling it.
All right, so our second story here is far less interesting. We have our first official image from Season 8. I don't want to say it's not interesting, but, it's just a
They're
picture.
chiefing, dude.
They're
posting up.
It's an Entertainment Weekly classic where it's just one single image and everybody loses their minds, me included.
It was probably taken last year, like in Season 7.
Oh, yeah. This is from, Season 3. Why do they look so young?
It's always nice. It's a sign of things to come.
They didn't tell us anything.
All right, we're finally getting something, so this is going to start the train, Maybe next week.
This is a snowball?
It's an
Is
action.
a snowball starting?
Yeah, I like that. Snowball, you can put it at the top of the mountain. Eventually, it's going to roll and it's going to get really big.
A leaked episode?
It's a posed picture now. Next week, we might get actual set photos, or the week after that, maybe something else. So it's good that they're starting to promote it now.
They got a fucking tight ship over on Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, they
World.
got tight lips. Well, not last year.
You got people scouting.
They got oral with
I want to try and be one of those people that scope them out and leak information.
You want to be like the scum of the earth?
I don't, but I do.
I
keep it to myself.
Well, the thing, too, about this image is that it's telling me that the Targaryens are back, and that the focus of this season, like last season, it was very much a Jon and Daenerys season, them coming together, them meeting, them kind of ironing out their relationship, their differences, their similarities, and then ultimately them falling in love. That this season is going to be about their fight, that they are going to lead together. And I guess some minor details, we see Emilia Clarke with the dyed hair. That's really cool to see. And also, they talk about the big battle that is going to happen in Season 8. It's something that we haven't really talked about yet. What do you guys think about this battle? 55 nights to shoot. Peter Dinklage is saying that it's going to make the Battle of the Bastards look like a theme park.
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
You know what's crazy
I like
is
theme parks.
You know what's crazy is that I almost completely forgot there was going to be a battle. I was like, oh shit, wait, these guys got to meet up soon.
Oh, wait, they're going to fight the White Walkers.
Well, they up north.
One of the EPs of the show, Brian Cogman, confirmed that the battle is going to take place at Winterfell.
Okay.
And we always go back to the scene with Daenerys in the House of the Undying where she sees the throne room destroyed. So a lot of us thought this giant 55 days to shoot, this battle would take place in the south, but it looks like it's going to take place at Winterfell. So it might be early in the season because the last we saw of the Night King, he was making his way towards Winterfell.
Oh, wait, maybe this could answer my question. If you have this fight happen early and not at the end of the season, you can get your aftermath from this battle. I thought the fight was going to be one of the last episodes of the show.
How much aftermath are you going to have?
We just went 8 seasons waiting for these White Walkers, and then we get them, and then the season's over.
I think we'll get one episode because that has been like the strength of Game of Thrones, where episode 9 you have this epic either battle or huge moment, and then the episode 10 it always kind of
dwells down.
Yeah, you get kind of see the aftermath, how this big event affected everyone around it. I think so, but we don't really need too much. It depends because Battle of the Bastards took 25 days and nights to film. This took more than double
55 nights, dude. That's
so you got to assume it's going to it has to span a couple episodes. I mean, it's the ultimate climax of the series.
Could span a couple of episodes, but Battle of the Bastards, the official time where they're actually fighting, I think is 20 minutes. So what I'm thinking here is that this could be episode 2. And then all of the battles after this just giant behemoth of a battle where it's every character involved on the living, on the side of the dead. It's just both of them throwing the kitchen sinks at each other. And then the battles become a lot more personal as the season goes on. That instead of having an episode 9, the battles become progressively smaller. It becomes like a true war where a lot of it is just like an 8-month siege and then there's a skirmish.
I said that in a video in the past where I wanted to be like drawn out, where we get the big moment, the big battle where everything's clashing, but maybe you hit the first wave and you just get fucking annihilated. And now you're rearing back, you're in camp, you don't know what to do, you're struggling. You know, everything around you is just the danger is so imminent that you almost can't even stop to think. But nothing's really happening battle-wise. And there's another wave, another clash, and you kind of have to regroup, and it's just, that will allow for so many great character moments in this last-ditch effort that when it finally does all culminate, it can create something special.
And I think that's in line with how George is going to end his story as well. Because knowing George R.R. Martin, knowing this style of writing, you even said, oh, I forgot that there's even going to be a battle in Season 8. Because the show is about its characters. It's such a grounded show. It's about these plot threads that George, I think he does have some of that Tolkien epicness in him, where he wants that giant final battle, but it's not the final battle. It precedes what truly is going to be the ending of the story, which is probably going to be a lot smaller, a lot more personal, and a lot more heartbreaking than a giant action sequence. And to me, that's Game of Thrones. If they can give us that, if they can deliver on that, then I'll be fucking one happy camper.
I want to see how the chess game is played after this fight, because how much more backstabbing can there be after you come together and you fight and hopefully you win? I mean,
I'm on the other side.
Are you?
I'm pro Night King for Season 8.
I mean, every game comes to an end eventually, right?
They mentioned, I forget what character, I think it was Sansa. She said that there's a couple of backstabbings in this season, that there are some betrayals, believe it or not.
I'm thinking it's Cersei.
Littlefinger comes back. He's like,
takes off his mask.
Thought I was dead.
I'm back, bitches.
It's turned into a white, and he usurps the White Walker, the Night King.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna shit once that first trailer comes out.
It's like that's a moment.
Mom, get the wipes.